yourself at home. Enjoy the time we share with a dash of this and a pinch of that, mixed all up with care. We're cooking up something good here at home. We are cooking up something good here at home.
Well, hello and welcome to At Home today. We're so glad that you could join us. It's always so nice when the family drops by. I want to talk about family today because you ask me so many times about, you know that little boy that sits at the table? You mean my great nephew, Josh. Well, I want you to see how Josh has grown in 11 years. On the screen is Josh as you see him at the table on the right, and here he is today on the left, 13 years old. This is one of the nicest kids you'd ever want to meet in all of your life. He is just the sweetest guy. You know, he was the center of attention in our family for 6 years, and then along came the rest of the family, kids anyway. This is Josh. I have to show you because I'm proud of these kids. This is Josh, and this is his brother Jake, okay? Then here's Corey. This is Corey, and this is his little sister Haley down here. These kids all belong to my nephews and niece on my first brother's family. And then this is Reno and his sister Rihanna. These are all precious kids in the Pittsburgh area where we happen to live. Now, their little cousin, I'm going to set this down. Here's their little cousin, and her name is Hannah, and she lives in Delaware. And she has a cousin that lives in Delaware too. His name's Adam, and he is so new, we don't even have a picture. He's just a new tiny baby, but these are my brother's children. Now we go to Paul's side of the family. This is Miss Megan, and she lives in Illinois. She's as sweet as she can be, just going to be 2. And that's her little brother Joshua. We have 2 Joshuas, great nephews. Can you imagine how confusing this is? But we love these kids. You know what? The Bible says that you're blessed when your quiver's full. And I tell you, these kids could not be more precious to us if they were our own grandchildren. We just love them. And so for you that asked and wanted to know, this is Josh now, 11 years later. I hope that you're going to stay with us because today we're making an old-fashioned dinner, stuffed peppers, mashed potatoes, and a wonderful dessert. And we'll be right back to get started in just a moment. Stay with us. Here's today's at-home hint. Here's today's at-home hint. Freeze dollops or piped rosettes of whipped cream on a wax paper-lined baking sheet. When frozen, pop them into a plastic bag and freeze until needed to top desserts.
For updates, pictures, stories, and more, like us on Facebook. To watch hundreds of classic episodes, subscribe to us on YouTube. And to get hundreds of free recipes, visit ctvn.org/athome.
All right, we're going to start with our stuffed peppers first. What you want to be sure to do, and peppers are plentiful this time of the year, and they're great to buy. Go to the farm markets and get little baskets of them, and they're multi-purpose. You can cut them up, clean them, and freeze them if you want to. But this is the time of the year I like to make stuffed peppers best. And you want to look for good firm ones, not any that have any marks or bruises on them or anything like that. And the way I cut them is I cut a circle right around the top, just like this, the whole way around. And then this should pull right out, which it does. And there are most of all your seeds. Now, see this part right here? This is very good just to cut that off. You can throw that in an omelet when you're frying up some eggs with some onion or whatever. Don't discard that. There's a lot of good on that part, all right? Now, you want to go into the pepper, pull out any of the membrane. Remember, if you work with hot peppers, you always want to use gloves because the membrane is where all the heat is. People think it's in the seed. Actually, it's in this membrane that runs down the inside of the pepper. So you want to be sure to clean that out. It doesn't taste very good. And then give it a gentle tap and all the little loose seeds will come out. You have a nice clean pepper. All right, into the filling, we have 1.5 pounds of really good ground chuck. I like to use ground chuck. And I have some cooked rice, about 1.5 cups of cooked rice. This would be enough for about 6 peppers. If you want to stuff them like really full, you might go with 2 pounds, but this will be enough. All right, now I have done 1 medium onion, and I have already browned in a little butter. You say, well, why do you cook it? Why don't you just do it raw? Because when you add heat to an onion, it brings the flavor out. And I like the extra flavor that browning it gives. And it changes the flavor of your peppers also because it adds another dimension of flavor. All right, now we're going to add some garlic. This is what You know, honest anymore, you put garlic in everything because it just is good for us, and it adds such good flavor to whatever we're making. Now we have our Mrs. Dash, which we just, you know, according to your desire. If you like a lot of spice, add more. If you don't, don't. Now we're going to do some seeds there. We're going to put some cayenne because Paul and I have gotten away from the black pepper, and we've been using cayenne more because we found that it's healthy and it's good for us. So you don't use as much as maybe you would the black pepper. Remember, this has some heat and it will leave a tang to the food. It loses some of its strength during cooking, but some of it will linger. So just be cautious with this, all right? And we want to do some salt. Again, if you're on a salt-restricted diet, keep that in mind. You can always add more at the table. You don't want to overdo it when you're cooking, but you have to have some in there because it wouldn't taste really good if you didn't, all right? Now for the sauce, I already have some water in my Dutch oven getting hot on the stove. And what I'm going to do is put about 3 cans, for this many peppers, about 3 cans of tomato soup. Some people like to use tomato sauce. I think I like the sweetness of the soup more than the sauce because that's just what my mother always made. When Mom made stuffed cabbage or stuffed peppers, she always used just the plain soup. And I think that that's why I do it, and I've gotten used to that flavor. And you just want to stir to make sure that it dissolves, just like that. And if you like a kind of watery broth to yours, don't put 3 cans, just put 2. I like it more to be like a gravy, and this will thicken somewhat as it bakes in the oven. But oh, these peppers are so good. And to me, the longer you bake them, the better it is. Just has such a wonderful taste, and I'll tell you, on a night when you want to just make some mashed potatoes and put all that together, and it's a wonderful dinner. I like coleslaw with this meal too because I think that you need another vegetable besides the pepper. I just think that you needs to add something to it. And coleslaw is a nice mix. But we certainly have had these different times when we didn't have the coleslaw. All right, now we're going to mix up our filling just like this. And you know, you can get your hands in there if you have to, which I probably will. Okay, and you just want to blend this really well. Make sure everything's in there. I'm going to add a little bit of tomato sauce to this. Sometimes the rice will thicken it up makes it too hard, and you don't want it like a big hard meatball, that filling. So you want it to soften it, and you'll soften it with the tomato sauce. And that also adds the flavor because the tomato is the sauce the soup is the same flavor as the tomato sauce. So I'm just going to go ahead and add it all, and it will be wonderful. Okay, now we're going to start stuffing our peppers. And as we do, you don't want to push it in there until they're bulging because you know what will happen? They'll burst while they're cooking because they have to have room to be able to expand. And then we just place them in our Dutch oven or a deep pot, just like that. Okay. This is enough for about 5 or 6. These are pretty big. Actually, I like about 6 medium-sized peppers because that's a pretty big pepper for a kid to have for supper. But you could also cut these in half. You can also, at this time of the year when these are so plentiful, why not make them to this point and then put them in a Ziploc bag and put them in your freezer. It's wonderful to pull these out. If you only need 4, you're just going to have 4 people for dinner and you want some of these big peppers, pull out 4, put some tomato soup on them, pop them in the oven. It's a real quick dinner and you'll really enjoy them. All right, so almost have our peppers stuffed, just like that. Okay, almost there. You know what, while I'm stuffing these, we're going to take a break. We're going to come right back with more of today's program with a peach cobbler and some good mashed potatoes. We'll be right back.
If you love At Home with Arlene Williams, then subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have hundreds of episodes with all your favorite recipes, holidays, and friends.
Say hi to your fan club.
Hi, fan club.
And don't forget to click the bell so you'll never miss another episode of At Home.
All right, we've put the peppers, the stuffed peppers, into a 350-degree oven. You know what? The thing about this, you can leave them cook for 2 or 3 hours. When they start to get brown, put the lid on them and they'll cook through it for you, okay? Come on, we're going to do our peach cobbler now, and you're really going to find this fascinating because this is so simple and so easy. You have a 13 by 9 baking dish. We put 1 stick of butter into that dish and we put it in the oven for it to melt. You want it to brown, so don't leave it and forget about it, but it's melted, okay? Now in the bowl we have 1 cup of self-rising flour. That's different than all-purpose. You know, the all-purpose you use to bake bread or whatever. This has leavening agents in it already. That's 1 cup. 1 cup of sugar, like that, and 1 cup, this is so simple, 1 cup of milk, just like that. Now, we're going to mix this together, and this is going to form the batter for our peach cobbler. Simple and easy, 3 little ingredients, well, 4 counting the butter. But what I have on the stove is a quart of peaches, and we've put that on earlier. These are sliced peaches. Get to them in just a minute. I want to put this in the dish so you'll see what I'm going to do here. Just like this. Doesn't have to be totally smooth. All right. We're going to pour this into our baking dish, like so. Make sure we clean it all out, get it all out of there. We'll need every little bit of that batter because we're going to put a quart of peaches in with this cobbler. We just want to mix up a little bit and, you know, spread it around. Make sure it gets to the corners, just like that. All right, now leave that for a minute. Come with me to the stove where we have had our peaches, and you don't drain them, but you need 1 quart. So you say, well, how do I know if it's a quart? You know that a quart has 32 ounces. Check the cans. You might need a big can, a small can, 3 small cans, whatever. Don't drain them, though. That's important. And these have just come up. You've added a cup of sugar to this. It's cooked, and they've come up to a simmer. And that means it's just bubbled a little bit around the edge. Now, what we're doing with that, we're just going to take a spoon and spoon the peaches on top of our batter, just like this. Juice and all, because the juice is going to help to flavor the batter. And if you have fresh canned peaches, whoa, are you in for a treat. Just put it all there. And, you know, I questioned about, wow, that looks like a lot of juice. They said, don't drain, the more juice, the better. So we have the juice from the peaches, plus, you know, when you put that cup of sugar in there, that's going to come into a juice also. So there we have it. This is going to bake in a preheated oven, a 400-degree oven, and this is going to be awesome. And you're going to love it, okay? Okay, let me get this, put it in the oven. Remember, always preheat the oven. It's so important. It's just necessary to do that because you don't want to start this out cold. If you start it out cold, you'll have a problem. Beautiful. Look at that cobbler. Yummy. Yes. All right. The next dish that we want to prepare, and this might seem like a simple thing to do, but a lot of people don't know how to make really good mashed potatoes. We have some crew members here at the station that we could go into a situation that we've had with him, but he forbids us to talk about it because it was such a horrendous idea. He made mashed potatoes one time, but we won't go there. All right, I have done my potatoes. I like the little red ones or the white ones, and they have to be fork tender. By that, I mean when you plunge a fork in there, they break apart. That's how tender they need to be. That sometimes takes 20, 25 minutes. You just have to keep checking them because each potato cooks differently. And you want to make sure all of the juice is off them, all the water. And we're going to, for the sake of time, we're just going to put them into our big, wonderful mixer. A little dropping there. And the first thing you want to do is remember, you have to season them. This is the time to add the salt. Remember, be generous with salt because potatoes absorb salt. So we're going to put salt on the potatoes. And then, if you want to add pepper, this is the time. I believe I will add some black pepper. Don't have to, but we like pepper in ours. And this is the time to add the butter. And again, it's according to you. If you want a lot of butter, I think we'll do another little piece here because this is quite a few potatoes. Now, we have a staff here we have to feed after every program, so And they get rowdy if they don't get fed, so we try to keep them happy. Right, Mike? Absolutely. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so now, before you whip potatoes, you have to mash them. And the mashing, now these might fly, so everybody out there just, wear a helmet or something. We're just going to make stop and go motions with this mixer until they start to mash. You cannot add your milk now. Now, I've seen people do that. I personally was taught you have to mash them. When you add the milk, you whip them. So we're mashing now. And at this point is when you're going to get all the lumps out of the potatoes. We did these a long time ago on a show one time, and I've had more people stop me at the mall and say, Arlene, I learned how to make good mashed potatoes without lumps for the first time in my life from you. That makes me feel good because Mama taught me well. All right, so now when you see that, depending on the kind of potato, sometimes these will start to whip up because the lumps will come out very easily. So you increase, but you always want to keep scraping down the sides of the bowl to make sure all the lumps are out of them. Now, let's talk milk. The best way to keep your potatoes from getting cold is to warm the milk or the cream, whatever you want to use in that. And I tell you what, sometimes I've been in a pinch and I've not had cream, and all I had was a little chunk of cream cheese, and I put that in there, and that takes for the milk. It works wonderful, and the taste is so unique. Or if I have like breaded pork chops and I don't have a gravy to put on a mashed potato, make them special. Add garlic to them, add parsley to them, add bacon bits to them. Then you don't miss not having the gravy because they're like a gourmet potato. All right, let's take a look at this. I think you'll see what I'm saying. A lot of the big pieces of potato, I don't want to pick that up because I don't want it to go all over the place. Here we go. You can see they're getting creamy. You want to take this off of the beater, clean it off, because now we're going to add the warmed milk. Because you can see I can pack them. You see how smooth they are? All right, now's the time to do the warmed milk. And I have that here in my pan, and you want to add just a little bit to start. Remember, the liquid that you add is going to make them softer and softer and softer. And start slowly, because this you're going to see how they'll form into the greatest mashed potatoes. See how they're already becoming more and more smoother, more and more liquidy, because now we're whipping them. I'm going to add a little bit more. I'm going to turn it, there we go. See how smooth and creamy they're getting now? That's what you're looking for, folks. This is creamy mashed potatoes. Just keep adding a little bit at a time. Even though they're splashing everywhere, it's okay, not to worry. This is a great meal. Mashed potatoes, stuffed green peppers with a tomato-y gravy that you've cooked them in, coleslaw, and peach cobbler. What more could you want? It's a great, great dinner and easy to do. You can put your peppers on early in the day and just let them go. You don't have to put them on now. This is a versatile dinner. You can put them in a crock pot and cook them for a long period of time. The high heat on a crock pot is around 300 to 325. The lower heat is 275 to 300. Think about that. Extend your cooking period longer because you're doing them in the crock pot at a lower temperature. They'll work wonderful. Be sure that you if you get a whole big box of green peppers at the farmer's market, think of different ways that you can use them. Chop some up for maybe a recipe where you need little chopped green pepper, and then stuff some, put them in the freezer, and when you find out that the peppers, like along about January or February of the year, are a couple of dollars a pound, it's nice to go to the freezer and pull them out. So I think we're just about there. I'm going to add a little bit more. Again, this has to do with the type of potato that you're using. So when we come back from our break, we're going to be at the table and we're going to show you everything we've prepared today just for your dinner idea. All right, we'll be back in just a minute. Stay with us.
To get all the recipes from today's show, plus hundreds of others, just click the link in the video description or visit our website, ctvn.org/at-home.
Now, I want you to see this beautiful table full of delicious food. And I hope you're going to try these because you saw they weren't hard at all. Right here is our beautiful stuffed peppers. they're done to perfection. If that's too large a portion, cut them in half, make them open face, lay them flat in the plate, and just pour your soup on top. They'll bake fine that way. And we've made a thick gravy, which it produces off of those wonderful peppers. Our mashed potatoes, creamy, oh boy, everybody's like, can't wait to get into those. We've also added some coleslaw, and then our peach cobbler. We've just put a little powdered sugar on that. That bakes at 400, and trust me, with a scoop of vanilla ice cream, that would be unbelievable. I hope you're going to try them. This is a very simple meal, but very delicious, nutritious, and something that I think you're going to include in your recipes more often than you thought, because some people are intimidated by, what do I put in the filling for those peppers? Oh, is that like how you make stuffed cabbage? And there's no struggle. It's very simple, very easy, just a few ingredients. But the key to good peppers is allowing them to bake long and slow. Start them with the lid on, and then as they get closer to being done, take the lid off so they get that roasted flavor. You don't want a boiled flavor, you want a roasted flavor. I hope that you'll try these. I know that we're looking forward to tasting them. And I wish you were here with us so that you could enjoy with the crew and myself. It's always such a happy time when you come by. Be sure to join us the next time, because it just wouldn't be the same without you here at home. We'll see you then.
Food provided by McGinnis Sisters Special Food Stores in Brentwood and Monroeville. Taste the world.
Don't forget to click the subscribe button so you'll never miss another episode of At Home. Thank you for watching.
Cornerstone Television wishes to thank all our faithful viewers whose consistent prayers and financial support have made this program possible.